I know a few teachers who are probably less looking forward to going back to school this week than their pupils are. That's just because they haven't been schooling themselves in the way in which we all need to. Yes, it's back to school time. The shops have been full of back to school stuff for weeks on end, so that halfway through the holidays, poor little children were worrying about whether they had the right copies or pens or pencils or books. God help us, the world is a very strange place. But I'm using the back to school week as an opportunity to remind us that we need to remind ourselves. That's a double meaning in that word, re-mind ourselves. We need to constantly remind ourselves that we need to take the steps that we need to take to remind ourselves, to restructure our brain. Let's explore this for a minute. We know about meditation, and we know that meditation starts restructuring the brain within 5 days of your starting to practice it. That doesn't mean, by the way, you give up after 5 days and say, oh, my brain's restructured. Obviously, that's not what it means. We know that after 8 weeks, the key components of the brain, the left prefrontal cortex, and indeed the components of the subcortical brain are substantially restructured. We know after a longer period of time, meditating regularly, that the subcortical brain's components communicate amongst themselves in a novel way that precludes our self-defeating and self-doubting and self-referential thoughts coming into our consciousness at all. Or if they do, it's more something to laugh at than anything else. The message is very clear. We need to keep doing this. In other words, the kids who have been worrying about going back to school for the last few weeks, who did nothing over the summer but enjoy themselves, we need to be at school every day. We need to be training ourselves every day. I'm not saying that if you miss a day or two here or there, all hell will break loose. Obviously, every time we meditate, we build on the meditation and the restructuring that has gone before. But what I'm saying is that that's a slippery slope. If you miss it for a day or two, you might miss it for a week or two. And some people will tell me, oh, I've missed it for a year or two. The interesting thing about that is, one particular guy I was talking to recently, who hadn't meditated for a couple of years, told me that when he was meditating, life was flowing for him. He was achieving his wildest dreams and ambitions, and everything was flowing effortlessly for him. And then he stopped. Maybe he just rested on his laurels for a week or two, but a week or two becomes a month or two, and that becomes a year or two. So let's all get back to school today. Let's all ensure that we do what we need to do to live life like we mean it.